Have you got? How can you hear? I know you can hear me, but can the camera hear?
Yeah, I can. The camera hear me.
It can it?
Yeah.
It'll pick it up pretty clearly.
Yep. Not as good as if we had you mic'd up, but pretty good.
Cool.
So, Peter, Neil.Technique development.
Yeah. When I first met Peter, I'd just come off the circuit. I was introduced to him by David Pearson, who'd coached him for about a year. David asked me to have a look at Peter and the whole of his game and his attitude. And having just come off the world circuit, he felt that I would be the person most appropriate to sort of take him and introduce him to the world circuit. When I met Peter, I got on very well with him. I told him a few of my ideas. I thought he was a very natural volleyer. I thought he used the front wall very, very well, and tactically it was reasonably sound. But I felt that he lacked a certain amount of technical development, which I felt, having known a lot of the players on the circuit, I could contribute to that development in a way that could produce a player that would be totally equipped to deal with anything that came his way. This was based on my own sort of playing abilities and watching and observing many players and their techniques. I wanted Peter to be able to play into and out of every single corner, to be able to attack when it was appropriate and to be able to defend when it was appropriate. And to do that, I really felt that there were certain technical qualities that he had to have and technical changes that he had to make, from being one of the top sort of 8 juniors in the world to going on to becoming one of the best players on the world circuit. Although we started with those ideas, I did have a bit of a vision. I wouldn't claim to have a total vision, because we sort of made it up a little bit as we went along. But I did have a pretty clear picture in the early stages of how I thought he should be in position to play the kind of shots that he would need at all the levels, working through to the top of the world. Neither of us at any stage probably had it in our minds that he was going to be number one. Although in retrospect, looking at the qualities that he had, that was pretty much the case. Just him and I didn't know at the time. But with the work ethic and the discipline that he applied with everything that he actually undertook, and certainly this was true on the technical side, he really wouldn't settle for anything less than perfection. And when I laid out those ideas to him, he was pretty much prepared to work however long each day it took him to work on those. So from the start, I felt the racket preparation was incredibly important. Giving the space between him and the ball so that he could work with a very open racket face and having the freedom to swing pretty much wherever he wanted to play it. He could play the ball in his comfort zone, and as he developed his physical strength alongside this technical development, he was able to play the ball out of his comfort zone with a great deal of control. I think the feature probably of his playing career was the number of errors that he would make in relation to the number of rallies where he would force the opponent into an error or hit a winning shot himself. And I think that was very much a testimony to his technical acumen that he'd accumulated throughout his sort of early part of his career. And I know in the latter part of his career, in the last couple of years when I wasn't involved with him coming into the Commonwealth Games of 2000 and whenever it was, I know that from the later developments, he was still, through video analysis, because he had access through the English lottery to video, he was still tweaking all the little bits and pieces to make himself the complete player. As the player gets older, obviously their physical capabilities wane slightly, but there's that lovely equation where the physical capabilities and the mental and the mental and the technical side come together. And if you can get those two to meet before the physical deteriorates to such a point that he can't move, because obviously you have to move in squash, then that's when you peak. And I think when Peter played David Palmer in the final of the Commonwealth Games in Melbourne, that was a lifetime's work coming together, both on the technical side, the tactical side, and on the physical side, and certainly on the mental side. There was no way he actually was going to lose that match. But as he said in the interview afterwards, he called on every single thing he'd ever learned to make sure that he won that match. And I'm sure the technical side held him in very, very good stead throughout the latter stages of his career.